Ladies and gentlemen, the Democratic Party is creating its own reality. This is very, very important. This is a lot more important than their move to hold William Barr in contempt of Congress, which is absurd. Not about any working with Russia or colluding with Russia, or for 2 years it was a hostile foreign power influenced our democracy. Okay, by allowing the country to know that Bernie Sanders was cheated, and we don't even know if the DNC was even infiltrated. That is the assessment of CrowdStrike, a third-party tech firm that was outsourced by Democrats. Notice I repeat 4 or 5 themes every single segment because they're very important. But they've created their own reality. It goes beyond them trying to censor or implement some kind of repercussion for William Barr, who he didn't do anything wrong. All he did was summarize the Mueller report and their declination decisions. The declination decisions are decisions that a team of rabid Clinton loyalists, 12 or 13 of whom are registered Democrats, and then half of that number, around half, donated close to around $50,000 to Democratic, to Clinton, President Obama, and the DNC. Then you had 2 of Mueller's team who were able to see the actual Steele dossier before the election. That was in the Hill by John Solomon. That's bizarre. But you had this Mueller probe started by a criminal act, James Comey leaking classified memos. That's a fact. Chuck Grassley had to read the classified memos in a skiff. But it's important to remember something. I mean, I'll read you here. Washington Post. House Democrats move closer to holding Barr in contempt, raising questions. Raising questions about the fate of former Trump counsel Don McGahn. Not really. Not really. They want William Barr to testify. House Democrats move closer to holding Barr in contempt of Congress. They want him to testify, not just to elected officials in the House. You know, the same people who promised to implement Medicare for all, and that's right, it's May 6th, and people apparently are losing their lives. But you know how that goes. Oh my God, climate change. Oh, global warming, climate change. Well, are you going to implement any legislation? It's a resolution to motivate you. Oh, okay. The AFL-CIO, by the way, is against it. So they are the word they use is the millennial word grifters. They're the definition of that word. But anyway, it is important to understand something. And I'm going to explain it in a manner that nobody else has explained it. Look, this stems from a version of politics, a style of politics, this paradigm of political thought that started under Bill and Hillary Clinton in the 1990s. The political thought. There have always been controversies and scandals, and there have always been Eisenhower. Who had the dog Checkers? I think it was Eisenhower. No, Checkers, the dog. No, sorry, Nixon, of course. The Checkers speech. Okay, it was interesting. The Republican vice president. Impropriety relation funds established by his backers to reimburse his political expenses. There have always been, scandals, or politics has always been nasty and dirty and all over the place. That's not new. And Democrats and Republicans have been going at it. Two political sides have been going at it since Adams and Thomas Jefferson, since the beginning of this country. That's not new. That's not new. What is new is the moral relativism. What is new is not accepting a certain version, like this, a version of reality that says, okay, certain things nobody wants to be accused of. Certain things neither side will accept. So when David Plouffe, President Obama's campaign manager in 2008, said that it was the most offensive and shameful fear-mongering of either side in the election, he was speaking about Madam Secretary spreading a photo of Obama in African attire. No side had done that. The Republicans hadn't done that. And by the way, I'm a Trump supporter. It was wrong of President Trump to go there. It was wrong. But guess what? It was wrong of Hillary Clinton to go there also. And David Plouffe stated it was the most offensive and shameful fear-mongering of either side in the election. But what the Clintons managed to do is they managed to create an alternate universe around their world. So at any other point in U.S. politics, if countries, if individuals, and the great Christopher Hitchens called this out in the 90s and the 2000s before he passed away. Christopher Hitchens was a big influence upon me. I mean, I consider the guy to be a hero. Wasn't right about everything, but he was right about most things. And he was eloquent, and he would have destroyed and obliterated and absolutely eviscerated the left of today. And he would have been viewed as, an extreme right character by the imbeciles within the Democratic Party and within among the left. But anyway, at any other point in U.S. politics, money flowing into a foundation and beneficial treatment for 85 donors who give $156 million for banks like UBS, for giant multinationals like Boeing, for just raising $10 billion in Haiti and having almost all the money disappear. A uranium sale with $2 million flowing in, with millions flowing into the Clinton Foundation, and then, what a miraculous coincidence. The deal not being vetoed by President Obama, which it had zero national security benefit for the United States and only harm. At any other point, that would have been not only not accepted, but that would have been proof of overt criminal behavior. At any other point in American history, certainly during the Cold War. So when they're going after William Barr now, and they're saying, well, we like Sessions, but we don't like William Barr, which, by the way, should completely erase any warped, bizarre message board notion that Jeff Sessions, I've been working to completely erase since day one. If you still think that Sessions was just a wonderful person, no, he was exactly what the Democrats wanted. That's why they actually defended him. The proof is in the pudding. Look what's taking place now. They want to hold William Barr in contempt. They don't like him. They think that his description is a criminal act. His description is a perjury charge to Congress. His description, which lacks overt contempt of Trump, the same contempt and suspicion and disdain that's within the Mueller report. Just that alone is that he misled Congress and lied to Congress. But there's a bigger theme here. There's a bigger paradigm here. And when Clinton runs, you'll see that I've been right all along in terms of my philosophy. I haven't been right about everything, but I've been right about most things. I said in 2015 she would lose. She lost. I said that the Mueller probe was nonsense. It was nonsense. It led to nothing. Right when the Steele dossier came out in 2016, I was like, this is ridiculous. And it's complete nonsense. Every single major thing I've been calling correctly. I haven't been right about everything, but almost everything. And I'm telling you, Clinton will run again. And when she runs again, it will vindicate what I've been saying and just the reality of everything. The Clintons have started since the 90s because they're constantly able to evade And I don't know exactly why, but they have some kind of ability to always be part of a controversy or a scandal and then wiggle and slither their way out in some manner. In some manner. And you see it with the email, transferring top secret and special access program intelligence. I mean, Aldrich Ames and Robert Hansen, these are two traitors within the United States of America, one FBI, one CIA. Aldrich Ames, a CIA agent, and Hansen, an FBI agent, gave more classified data to the Soviets than anyone in U.S. history. I think John Walker, who was the other guy? John Walker Lynn, I think. John Anthony Walker. Sorry, he's also the other guy. So John Anthony Walker, Aldrich Ames, Robert Hansen. These people. What if they had what if they had servers outside the U.S. government? They wouldn't have had to like meet at certain locations and then have a drop here and utilize different markers to show that okay, this is where the drop is located, and that little Coke can over there that's situated just so okay, I'm going to drop the file underneath that behind the bush right there next to the Coke can and the discarded glove, whatever. They wouldn't have had to go through all of those scenarios. They would have had a server. They would have had their own computer servers. And there were computer servers in their time. So they could have had their own computer servers and transfer the data with floppy disks that nobody would have known or whatever. Okay? And if they had the internet and if they had Clinton's servers, they could have done anything they wanted to. I'm not saying that she did what they did. What I am saying is you have overt pay-to-play schemes that she deleted. The 33,000 plus emails I explained about her deleted emails. They weren't about yoga. They were about the Clinton Foundation information. That's why she had the servers to begin with. Why do you think she had servers? For her health? Because they were convenient? They're not convenient. That excuse wouldn't fly at any other point in U.S. history. That's what I'm trying to say. Look, Watergate was about a break-in. That wasn't even Nixon's biggest crime. You're talking about a break-in and then a cover-up of a break-in. And that, in American history, was seen as the most, oh my God, this breach of trust. And, can we trust the government anymore? It's like, well, I mean, you can look, and just look, let's see. I mean, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment is one example of why you probably shouldn't trust any government. And you're talking about black men being in the most, infamous and unethical study conducted in 1932-1972 by the U.S. Public Health Service. They were injected with syphilis. Okay? And these were poor African-American sharecroppers from Macon County, Alabama. And so and they weren't told what was going on. Hundreds and hundreds of people, of African American men. Well, then, the same Democratic Party's like, oh, the intelligence community. Well, but they don't like the Attorney General. So they like some elements of the government, not other elements. But the point is, at no other time period in American history would the Clintons have survived politically. Politically, this is a scorched earth policy to erase reason and logic, because the herd mentality, the prevailing paradigm of thought, Hollywood, media, they don't really care anymore. They've given up logic and reason. Now it's a fabricated belief that Trump represents and foments division and chaos and racism and all that stuff. He doesn't. He doesn't. They existed before President Obama and during President Obama's administration. The same people who marched one day in Trump's administration marched all throughout President Obama's administration. Okay? I don't want to get too far into it because in terms of the YouTube algorithm, they won't let you actually get too far into it. But they've taken politics, and there's always been discord. There's always been, this kind of nasty endeavor. But they've taken politics and made it completely morally relative. Not just morally relative. Their actual crimes, like Hillary's actual crimes, and statements that are far more outrageous and egregious than anything Trump has said, and votes and destroying a country. I mean, Trump never destroyed an African nation. That was President Obama and Hillary Clinton. They have made an alternate world, this reality that actually doesn't really exist. This reality that says that Hillary is qualified. She wouldn't even be qualified to be the manager at a restaurant. She's not. Which manager at a restaurant is great. There's a lot of, it's very honorable. It's a great job. A lot of responsibility. But if you applied as a manager of a restaurant and on your resume the FBI was investigating you, sorry. Like, she had an FBI criminal investigation, and whereas they fabricated one with Trump, it's still not relative. And that's the thing. She actually had a criminal investigation. She actually committed crimes, and James Comey said she didn't intend to. Do you think William Barr, if he said, well, I didn't intend to mislead you regarding my description, they would be okay with that? You think if Trump said, I didn't intend to work with the Russians, you think they'd be okay with that? With Clinton, she didn't intend to commit crimes. That's where it's at. That's where the mentality is at. So I'm trying to say from here on out, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm one of the few people who are going to tell you this, take everything with a grain of salt in terms of the news media. They've already proven themselves to be not only really irrelevant, but they've been discredited. Everything they've stated, every single thing they've stated has not turned out. From Clinton winning by a landslide to Trump working with Russia, it has been 4 years of nonstop news that actually isn't news. It's been nonstop and a just newsletter from the Democratic National Committee. Hillary might win Texas. Hillary's going to win in a landslide. Oh, the Russians interfered. She would have won in a landslide, but Trump worked with Russia. This is the dominoes keep falling. Oh my God, we're finding the link right now. Oh, what? There was no collusion? Well, that's good, I guess. But then there was obstruction. And anyone else would have been obstructed. It's like, and then William Barr, his description was not the Mueller team's description. Therefore, he committed perjury because his description is different from the Mueller team's description. And Mueller's going to testify now, and you just wait. Everything they've said is for one purpose. Who do you think benefits from this politically? Ask yourself that. Biden? Bernie? Bernard Sanders? Who? Beto? He's eating dirt. Who do you think benefits from this? The whole thing is to break people's will to just engage in any reasonable dialogue. They have to paint Trump. Trump is presiding over a good presidency, actually a great presidency in terms of the numbers and in terms of what he's been able to accomplish. Peace between North and South Korea, sure, it's not official, but we're getting there. Are there speed bumps, road bumps? Yeah, just recently. Fine. Well, what do you want? We're a lot closer with Trump than we were with President Obama or Bush or anyone else. And then you still have liberals saying, well, do you really want to work with Kim Jong-un? I'm like, what? Have you heard that? Because I've heard that. Well, he's a dictator. Yeah, and what are the choices? You can you can remove him militarily, and then what happens? We've seen that with Bush and President Obama. President Obama removed and President Bush removed despots. And then what happened? Those countries descended into chaos and mayhem and caused further problems for the rest of the planet. President Trump has not done that. He has not removed any despot or dictator through military means. And they still can't admit his foreign policy is better. We have an economy that's growing. We have more people working, more jobs opening, more job openings than workers to fill them, and they still can't admit that it's a good economy. Why? Because he represents this and he represents that. It's come to everything. They don't even realize, like people on the left don't even realize they're doing it all for Clinton, which is absolutely brilliant on Clinton's part. They think, there are still pundits who are like, well, we criticize Clinton. She doesn't care if you criticize her. You think that side cares if you criticize? That side only cares if you act like me. Then you're kicked out of the little group. Then you're not cool anymore. You're not part of the cool crowd anymore. That's why when you see some journalists, you're like, I just don't think Russia did it. Not to say that Trump wouldn't want to because he's some orange monster, but he's just too stupid to even do it. But Russia didn't do it. That's not calling out Trump-Russia. That's not calling out the Russia propaganda and the myth. No, that's not calling it out. Calling it out is saying Clinton basically purchased all of this. And she's running again. And I'll even go a step further. If she doesn't run, that's stupid. That's a dumb thing. It's hers right now. The nomination is hers. She's going to, but she knows this. You think Biden thinks he has a chance to win? You think Bernie does? He was cheated. He's just happy that I guess Medicare for All could be used as like a carrot to get people to vote Democrat. None of them. Kamala Harris isn't even at 10%. No one knows who Kristen Gillibrand. Kristen Gillibrand can walk into any restaurant, any location in the country. Nobody would know who she is. Nobody would know who she is. There are people who. It's like there's one person who could, and it's all about money too, because there's one person who could raise $2 billion. Trump will raise $1 billion. He's on his way to $1 billion. They already lost, outspending him $1.2 billion to $600 million. And so this alternate world, this alternate reality they've created serves only one political dynasty. And it's Bubba Bill and his wife. That's it. And that would seem extreme. Oh my God. You're obsessed, HA. Well, she's in the news every day, more so than Beto. When's the last time you heard about Beto? Or Kristen Gillibrand? Or Amy Klobuchar? Or Elizabeth Warren? When have you really heard, when was when has something piqued your interest about what they... Nothing! Or Kamala Harris. Asking William Barr if he's investigating Comey, and William Barr's like, well, yeah, nobody asked me to, kind of, short of, but we're going to get them, don't worry. 2 years of correct the record. They cheated Bernie. You got to understand also, why am I harping on this? They had a political primary where they actually cheated the most popular candidate. Now, that candidate, Bernie Sanders, proved to be just a political stooge of the Democratic Party. He promoted the same Russian hacking myth that said that Russia exposed the fact that he was cheated. Most people, even if that were true, most people, if it's known that they were cheated in a primary, would want to fight back. Like the DNC fraud lawsuit that Nico House, Jared Beck, and Elizabeth Beck waged. That's pretty amazing. And then we learned the DNC was the lawyers were like, we can do anything we want. We're a private entity. Then they say, oh my God, our democracy was. Well, which one is it? Are you a private entity or are you U.S. democracy? Which one? You got to kind of pick which one. So everything that and this all started really, it started since the 90s, but this really started after Clinton lost to President Obama. After Clinton lost to President Obama. And look, they're trying to hold him in contempt now But see, the contempt, you can't just look at William Barr as they're going after William Barr just because he described the declination decisions in a more palatable manner with less disdain and less vitriol than the Democrats would have liked. You have to look at this saying, well, how did we get here? We got here because Clinton lost to President Obama. She lost, and President Obama was not a politician for a very long time. He wasn't in Congress for very long. She had spent her entire life in politics. She lost to Obama. Bernie Sanders was in politics for a long time, but nobody really knew who he was. She would have lost to him. Then she lost to Trump, if it was fair. Then she lost to Trump, and he was never in politics ever. She'll lose to anyone viable. Okay, she'll lose to anyone viable if it's an actual fair primary with a press that isn't beholden, that there's no... That's like one of the things with the DNC emails and the campaign emails are like, oh, well, the Russians. No. The truth about them is viewed as a national security risk. They are friendly journalists. There's one journalist at the New York Times who literally sent her campaign chairman emails saying, I am a hack, don't tell anyone. I sent you this pre-publication. When you're telling somebody, don't say anything to anyone, I'm a hack, I shouldn't do this, you're probably admitting that you shouldn't do it. Kind of like with Peter Strzok saying, we will stop Trump. And then the ingenious thing is that when people do help her, they're not doing it at her specific request. The Clintons represent a political side. They're at the top of the hierarchy of a political side. So when they do get preferential treatment, or when they do have other crimes covered up, it's not like she wrote to Peter Strzok, hey, help me out. Don't worry, Madam Secretary, I will. It's, oh, well, these Trump voters were smelly. And so Strzok, I'm sure, never even had, any contact. Well, I don't know, but actually the DNC officials were speaking to the FBI, so. But what I'm saying is Clinton doesn't have to ask directly for help because she'll have people on her political side of the spectrum help no matter what. That's why no good deed goes unpunished. Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, they're friends. Their friendship with benefits now is everywhere. James Comey will eventually get indicted. Andrew McCabe's under criminal investigation. Comey lied under oath and he leaked classified memos. Andrew McCabe's under criminal investigation. James Baker's under criminal investigation. Poor Brennan, General Brennan, doesn't have a security clearance anymore. So, and he's a part of this. He's almost certainly one of the criminal referrals, along with Clapper, that Congressman Devin Nunes and Congressman John Ratcliffe gave to William Barr. So they know that William Barr is eventually not just going to go after his political opponents, because that's what they did to Trump, but he's just going to actually just follow the reality and facts and criminal wrongdoing. They set up Trump, and they covered up Clinton's crimes. And this is all this kind of morally relative universe that they've created. This paradigm where, oh gosh, it's just politics. It's just politics. Now, the Bush administration, they were the same, horrific, horrendous. I mean, what they did was the worst tragedy since Vietnam. But what the Bush administration did is they utilized momentum from a horrendous tragedy and then implemented their foreign policy. So it would be the equivalent of, you find out your spouse cheats on you and your world is devastated, and then you hook up with somebody that you would have just simply to get over that. And you're like, oh my God, what? No, that's what the American people did with Bush. He utilized a very tender moment, we were susceptible to that kind of thing. I want to talk freely, but I can't because, the algorithm and all that stuff. Anyway, they're going after William Barr. They're not going to be successful. They need the Supreme Court, and they need the Senate, and they need the DOJ. They can't hold him in contempt. They can vote on it, but, it would be ridiculous. He didn't do anything wrong. It's not like he withheld any documents. And they're saying, well, we want the unredacted versions. They can't get certain things. And anyway, at the end of the day, the Mueller team declined to indict. So these are the declination decisions of the Mueller team themselves. The Mueller team and Mueller have already spoken, and they didn't want to charge Trump for obstruction, and they didn't want to charge him for any collusion with Russia. So all Democrats have now is a description of what they decided not to do that they don't like. To them, that's a huge problem. Big, big problem. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. My Patreon is below if you want to support my voice long term. And it's important to just see this for what it is. This is just a long, paving the way for Clinton 2020. And when it happens, I mean, it'll actually be very good for America because Clinton will lose yet again. And she'll take the Democratic Party into the abyss even further. And then hopefully we'll see probably, I don't know, who knows, but they might actually change. Probably not. But both Clinton's political power will be at an all-time low. Then media and then Democrats will be like, wait a second. We've done all of this for this criminal for so long, and we lost twice. My God. Then after Comey, Strzok, McCabe, all of them get indicted, she'll get indicted. But give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe. Oh, check out Nick DiPaolo. Subscribe to his channel. Tell your friends about his channel. His comedy is amazing. He's a comedian, and also he's in politics. He has a podcast. He has a YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is 30,000 subs. Get him to 150. Get him to 1 million. He's amazing. Give me your thoughts. Thank you so very much. They're trying to hold William Barr in contempt. But like I said in my long-winded half-an-hour rant, it's more than just them going after William Barr. It's this paradigm that they've created simply to make everything morally relative so Clinton has a possibility of winning, which she won't. Thank you so very much.